Hi, all. Welcome to MustardHub Voices from the Frontlines. In these fireside chats, we talk with leaders who roll up their sleeves to support and engage their teams. From healthcare to hospitality, retail to the trades, we're diving into real stories and real strategies from the people who help make it happen every single day. I'm your host, Julie Ewald, and today I'm super, super happy to be speaking with Aka Ali-Kerr. So, Aka, hello.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm
I'm truly humbled to be here. I am excited for us to have a conversation and to unpack this amazing topic of leading and engagement, especially in hospitality. So I'm thrilled. I am a director of human resources. I've been in this role for 25 years. And I think I love this industry because people are my heart. Um, and to serve in hospitality, you have to love people because whether you have a headache or not, the guest still pays the same rate to sleep in the bed and to be served. So I really love what I do. I love hospitality, and I am honored to lead others. That's truly my passion.
So, what organization are you working with currently, and what's your role there?
I work at Andaz Miami Beach, which is part of Hyatt Hotels. I am. I've been in the US only about 4 years. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, hence my accent. I was the director of HR at Hyatt Regency Trinidad before I got the amazing opportunity to be transferred to the US through Hyatt. And just a shameless plug. That's why I love working for Hyatt because you get the opportunity to do what you love throughout the world. We have 280,000 employees throughout the world. I have many cousins um, all over the world, but I truly love working for Hyatt. It really embodies who I am. Our purpose is to care for people so they could be their best. And that resonates with me as an HR leader.
I totally accept the shameless plug, but also I think you touched on something that's really important. As we think about, like culture and engagement and employee retention, you
Yes,
know, it's really great to hear that you are being provided through Hyatt a career path that you
yes,
really enjoy. It's not
yes,
just that you're like, okay, money, cool. It's like, no, this is something I want to do. This is something
absolutely.
I can endorse for other people. This is a great place to work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And that's what I love about, some organizations talk about retention and growth, but retention and growth only happens when there's intentionality and action. And Hyatt has been intentional about growing leaders and ensuring them their career has continuity across countries. And I am a living testament to that.
No, and it's really great because one of the things that you see some organizations where it's really like they will talk the talk but they can't walk the walk,
Listen,
and it's so
that
that's really good to see. And
absolutely.
also, again, it's all there's so many different motivators for people out there,
Mhm.
you
Yes,
know, but for a lot of folks being able to see this career path, there are other opportunities. I can move around the world. I'm not
yes, yes.
just stuck in one role.
Correct,
And it
correct.
sounds like they really set y'all up for success there in terms
Yes,
of being able to train, like training and upskilling and being able to present these
absolutely.
opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think if there is no plan, then you cannot achieve what you want to achieve. Hyatt has a plan. There's succession planning, there's career planning, there's feedback. So how do you step into your purpose? I tell my teams all the time, feedback is a gift. And I have been able to get the gift of feedback over the last 14 years. And here I am because of that feedback, because of being better, because getting better matters. So here I am just stepping into my purpose, adding value, being of value as well as a leader.
So, what originally attracted you to HR? What brought you
Oh,
into the world of human resources?
I love that question. So let me give you a little insight. So my first degree is in psychology, and I have a minor in law. I thought I wanted to defend battered and abused children. And there was one time we had to go to court to simulate, and I was getting so emotional. I thought, maybe not law. And then I thought, how can I help people? And so I did my postgraduate in human resources. So that is how I got from psychology to human resources. But you know what, Julie? Me having a degree in psychology has helped me be a better leader as an HR practitioner because I try to understand the why. Why did you respond like that? What is going on? Let's get to the root of why you had an emotional breakdown or why you did something. And that has really augured well for my growth. It was a great foundation. I didn't know it, but now it's so firm. I'm able to navigate tough conversations so much easier because I understand that people sometimes become a product of their environment, and so their response may be just be a knee-jerk reaction. So how do you navigate that as a leader? Yes.
That's I really like that because a lot of times, there are some folks who end up in leadership roles and they don't really realize that, you know, people behave in a certain way.
Mhm.
It's different people, different situations. However, we're all
Absolutely.
kind of wired in a certain way to do these things. And if you're
Correct.
not figuring out what the root cause is, or not,
That's right.
if you're trying to treat the symptom and not the underlying issue, it's
Correct.
just going to keep happening and you're not
Absolutely.
actually going to go anywhere in terms of organizational
Absolutely.
progress.
Absolutely. And it's important that, and I love that you said that you have to treat the actual cause and not the symptom. And it's not about putting a band-aid on a cut and you need stitches, because the cut is just going to get worse until you deal with the root of the cut. And I think that has helped me understand the root. People have a natural state and they have an adaptive state. How do I help you adapt? Because you've come in an environment where in your home, for instance, there was always this very aggressive manner and disposition, but then you use it at work. So my conversation with you would be, I understand and I recognize you may be a product of your environment. However, you can change with intentionality and repetition. And so that becomes now your adaptive state and not your natural state to respond with emotions. So it's helped me navigate those tough conversations.
And that also makes me think of I've heard a few folks talking about in terms of soft skills, particularly for people who
Yes.
are frontline workers and
Yes.
customer focused,
Yes.
or especially with entry level employees or lower wage earners, you know, they are maybe are newer to the workforce, they maybe are
Yes.
switching industries. There's
Yes.
a whole host of things that they may not have those soft skills that
Mhm.
allow them to properly communicate, cope, adapt with hard
Mhm.
situations, all
Yes.
sorts of things when it
That,
comes to both their colleagues and customers.
that's
And
so true. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting because it can be that kind of this when you say like home environment. Well,
Yes.
you have poor soft skills. You don't have
Correct.
just poor at work happens at home. So
Correct.
then you
Correct.
just keeps going. So then you're in a bad mood because you can't communicate, you can't
Exactly.
interact in the
Yeah.
world in a way
Yeah.
that's it's maybe maladaptive. You come back to work, and then next
Correct.
thing you know, you're you're quitting or getting fired because you
Correct.
just don't have that. And so
Yes.
it's always
That's
interesting.
that's so powerful because for me, the differentiator between a good leader and a great leader is the soft skills. Because you want to be a leader that you would like to follow. I always ask myself, would I follow me? Like, that's my question. When I show up to work, does my attitude align to having an engaged team, a motivated team, because of how I'm presenting myself. And so it's important that as leaders, we understand that the technical skills, that's an expectation. If you're in leadership, you need to be able to do a budget. You need to be able to do a strategic plan. However, what differentiates you is your ability to have authentic relationships, build loyalty, then build retention because you care for people, right? And so you create an environment of trust. Trust really is critical to be a leader because people leave leaders. Yeah. Recently, I read an article from Gallup, and it said almost 70% of people in their exit interviews said they left because of their leader. And so when you understand that people may be leaving you, not the organization, then it's critical for you to understand why are they leaving? Is it of how you communicate, how you engage, how you give feedback, how you hold people accountable? Are you cognizant of both your what and your how? Because communication is not only what you say, it's how you say it. And so those are the soft skills that you just mentioned that as a leader, you must have to navigate this particular workforce. And this workforce, Julie, 5 generations. You cannot be an effective leader if you're not able to meet people at their point of need. The way you deal with a millennial is different to a Gen Z because they are just different. They've grown up in a different space. So that is critical. Your soft skills, you need to meet people at their point of need.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think of the multi-generational workforce,
Yes.
it yeah, the diverse needs and motivations and everything,
Yes.
previously, there of course there were differences, but not
Now
like
it's
this.
glaring. Now it's
Yeah.
glaring. We have
Hmm.
a workforce right now that is so accustomed to quick. They want a latte, they get it quick. They want their meal heated up, they put it in the microwave. They have not grown up, and I'm aging myself right now. When I was in college, we didn't have the amenities that they have right now, that I had to do things. A cell phone now is normal. Like, now back in college, I had to look for a phone booth and make a call. So, I mean, that tells you the diversity and the difference that you have to navigate as a leader. And if you don't have soft skills, people are going to leave you.
Definitely. And it's kind of funny as you say that too. One of the things we kind of see, especially in the HR space, is there is kind of this tech divide
Mhm.
where the technology is evolving rapidly.
Yes,
You can do so much more with less. You're able to
yes,
have capacities you didn't have before. You have insight you could never have before.
right.
You can do
Yes,
all of these great things.
yes,
But then you have some people in leadership who may not actually get it. They're going to be slow
yeah,
to adopt, or
yes,
they bring stuff on,
yes.
and it's like having a hammer. Like the hammer isn't going to do anything if it stays in your drawer, you know?
Absolutely. I love
And
that analogy. Yeah. A hammer is only really optimized when it's used.
yeah.
And
And
it's like technology, it's only optimized when it's used and used for what it's supposed to be used for. It's not to replace you, it's to minimize the tasks that don't add value. So you can
yeah.
step into the valuable tasks like interacting with your team, interacting with the customer. That is what technology is about. So, as a more mature leader, we have to navigate change because technology and AI, it's not going anywhere. And if you do not get familiar with, competent using, then you will be left behind. And that's something that we have to embrace as leaders, that technology is here to stay. And we have to use it to make it better for us because that's also what the younger workforce, they are not into writing. They're confused actually when you take out a notepad. They're like, what are you doing? Why can't we just use AI to record and then write the minutes? Like that's what they do. That's normal to them. So as a leader, we have to embrace that.
Yeah, yeah, that is really funny that you say that.
Yeah.
I myself am the eldest millennials. And, I notice a lot of times too, but I still will be like, if something I'm writing it down, like, or
Yes.
someone writes something down, I'm just like, okay, let me take a picture of that really quick.
Yes.
Like right away, with something that scans it in and takes in the note. I'm like, okay,
They
cool,
look at you like you are like almost like having an out of body experience. They're like, what are you doing? Like I have a 23-year old and she'll be like, Mom, just take a picture. What are you doing? So I take pictures now, I record, I use AI. Yes, I'm using it.
Yeah. No, yeah, you have to.
You have to.
Um, yeah. So I'm curious. I'm going to kind of change lanes a little bit
Sure.
in
Sure.
terms of we talk a lot in terms of these conversations, both on this show and on Behind the Build about
Yes.
people problems and certain
Mhm.
challenges that you may see not just in your organization, but maybe across the hospitality industry or just business at large. What are
Yeah.
some of these people problems and challenges that you're kind of seeing either bubble up or not going away?
Yeah. That's such a great question. The people challenges, to be honest, comes from people who have been promoted into incompetence to lead others. Leadership is a skill, just like everything else. The first time I rode a bicycle, I fell off, but I needed to practice. I needed to continuously go onto the bike and get more comfortable. There are many people that feel that leadership, I don't have to practice, I don't have to grow, I don't have to learn, I'm just going to be promoted. The competencies required to do a task is different to leading someone to do a task. So I think, like everything else, leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership. And people problems are no different. The root of people problems is poor leadership. And we have to, and I say we because me being a leader, I I am part of the we. We have to understand that leadership is a badge of honor, not a badge of power. We cannot lead another person, especially the younger workforce, because they're going to tell you no and they're going to ask you why. You cannot lead them by just telling them what to do. You cannot demand them to respect you. They are going to respect you if you respect them. So that to me is the root of people problems. When you get leadership right, then people problems, it goes away.
Yeah. One of the things you said is, they will say no and they will ask why.
Yes,
And it's, again, back to the multi-generational workforce,
correct,
you
correct.
know, there's a lot of folks that you just did what you were told, you get
Yes,
your paycheck, and for
yes,
somehow on minimum wage, you own a house and have 5 kids.
correct.
Cool.
Right.
That's not what's going on today.
Yes,
But it was also you put in your time, so it doesn't matter
correct,
how well you perform as
correct.
long as you're not doing so poorly. You're getting shoved out the door.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm gonna
yes,
get more money. Yeah, I'm
mhm,
gonna get more PTO. Yeah,
yes,
I'm gonna become a manager.
yes,
And it didn't matter. But now because of the different skill sets and everything that change,
yes, yes,
um, that's not how it is. But two, the other point is if you are leading poorly, people will tell you no, but also like people for engagement, they also need to understand like what they do. Like,
correct.
if you're working in a factory and
Yes,
they're like, okay, you know what, you're going to just punch out all these widgets all day
yes,
and you send them down the line, like you can do that, but you're like, I wonder what happens to the widgets. Like, why are we making all these widgets? Are they part
correct,
of something? Do they do
correct,
something? Like, it's easy to be
correct.
like, I the widget now?
Yes, yes,
And then for all they're just getting in the box and just getting, someone else's his job is just taking your boxes
correct,
of widgets to the dumpster. You
correct.
know,
Yes,
it's
yes,
it really. people need to really understand the why in the current
Correct. You
workforce.
need you need to, because when I understand why, then there's ownership.
Yeah.
When I own something, I'm more intentional to see it be successful. No longer
Mhm.
can we give instructions and walk away. You have to share the why. You have to tell the person, if you do this, this is the impact, whether it's on service, whether it's on the bottom line, whether you need to share that. And that is something that the more mature leaders, they're not as willing to. They are still into just giving instructions and wondering, why didn't you comply? But we have to navigate, we have to pivot, we have to be more comfortable being uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
that's something that as a leader in this present time, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable because things are changing so rapidly. The workforce, what their needs are, what they will accept, the higher turnover because people are leaving.
Yeah.
Before, a few years ago, turnover was not as high as it is now. Right now, especially in hospitality, turnover is so pervasive. And people leave most times for two things: compensation and culture. Those are the two C's why people leave. If the culture is not conducive, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stick around. They're not loyal. Their loyalty, it fluctuates. Yeah. The cradle to grave employee, that's long gone. They will jump from job to job to job until they find something, and them settling is a year, 2 years. They think that's a long time, right? So, how do you ensure that you get loyalty? And that only happens when you have a relationship. People are loyal to people.
Yeah. And there's also, I'm horrible at remembering stats, but I know there has been some research done, even in terms of not just within relationships with leadership, but
Yes,
also coworkers. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's astounding how much longer people will stay in a role if they have close relationships with their coworkers, close friends
Mhm.
that have become close friends. It doesn't matter. They're like, I could get more compensation elsewhere. Oh, I could get better benefits. Oh, like all these other things. Unless it's completely dire, they're more likely to stick around where they have these close relationships.
And
You
that's
know,
culture. That's
yeah,
culture.
it's
That's the creating that environment where you have some synergies. You build relationships. You build trust. You have a best friend at work. That type of thing. You are able to kind of pull out loyalty and retention when you have a healthy culture. And companies, those top 500 companies, when you look at their culture, the culture is so magnetic and engaging that people stay. They stay because of culture. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it might be time to wrap it up and ask you my favorite, my one of my. I really enjoy kind of ending it like this because
Sure.
you have a lot of great expertise, a lot of great ideas. Um, you know a lot about this stuff. So I'm curious about what would be like one call to action, your biggest tip, um, one last idea. Really, overall, what do you want to leave the
Mm,
audience with? What do you think
I love
is,
that. I love
yeah.
it. Um, I wrote a book titled The Master Guide to Leadership Through the Lens of Care. And there are 6 mandates in this book that I want to leave with your listening audience. Care with action. Care is a verb. It's not a noun, it's not an adjective. If you say that you care as a leader, you need to show that you care. So that's care with action. The other 2 mandates is consistency with accountability. You need to be consistent as a leader. I make this analogy all the time. When we get into an airplane, you are expecting to reach to your destination safely. When people enter your space as a leader, they are expecting to leave home in the same sound mind as they came to work. You need to be consistent as a leader. People shouldn't be walking on eggshells because you are there. Accountability. You cannot hold others accountable if you first don't hold yourself accountable. As a leader, you must have clean hands and a pure heart. If you are coming late, you have lost the moral authority to hold somebody accountable for coming to work late. And the other two mandates is competence with the right attitude. The competencies that I'm referring to are not the technical competencies. I am referring to your relationship management, your resilience, your creativity, your emotional intelligence. Those competencies, and we alluded to it previously, your soft competencies, your behavioral competencies is what you need to hone in on, and your attitude. Your attitude determines the altitude of your team. As a leader, you could take your team up or you could take your team down. So those six mandates are what I lean into. It's the three C's and three A's. Care with action, consistency with accountability, and competence with the right attitude.
I love that. So, as we wrap it up, though, tell us a little bit more about your book. So, what should folks who pick it up
Yes.
expect to find?
Um, Let me tell you why I wrote the book. I did not want to write a book. I wrote a book kicking and screaming. I did not want to be scrutinized by people that I may never meet. Um, and you put yourself out there, right? I wrote this book in the middle of the pandemic. Many people were calling me and asking, Aka, how are you keeping your team motivated and engaged in this pandemic in hospitality, where you have to stand 6 feet away from each other and smile? Smile with your eyes because your mouth is covered. You remember those days? And that's why I wrote this book, because I want to help people be the best version of themselves. And that's why I wrote the book, Leadership, the Master Guide to Leadership through the lens of care. Everything that we do, you need to care for people. And in the pandemic, the crisis, when a crisis happens, that's when you see all the anomalies. That's why we had the great resignation after the pandemic, because people left leaders. They said, you didn't care for me in the pandemic. You didn't want me to work from home. Now it's okay for me to work from home because it serves you. And that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I need people, leaders, to understand that care is your differentiator and that care is a verb, and leading others is a badge of honor, not a badge of power. And that's why I wrote the book.
So, if someone wants to pick up this book, where can they find it?
Oh, you can find it on Amazon.
Brilliant.
I have the Kindle and the Audible as well.
Awesome.
You could pick it up on Amazon. And for me, the best compliment that you could ever give me is thank me for making you a better leader and stewarding these amazing human assets that you get the opportunity to steward. Like you get to make a mark on someone for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Like it's such a humbling opportunity. And so that's what I want people to walk away from, understanding that you must leave people better than you met them. And you cannot be turbulence as a leader. You cannot create turbulence.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the person that's able to stabilize your team and get them home safely at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
This was a fantastic way to end it. So, if anyone wants to follow up with you, where can they find you online? Should they stalk you on LinkedIn or?
Yes, LinkedIn is the best. I love it. Stalk me. Just message me.
Yeah, I mean, or they could just send you a line like
Oh,
like
there
a
you
normal
go.
person. But well, they should follow you,
Yes,
hype your book,
definitely.
like and
On
share
LinkedIn.
everything.
And I
Yeah,
am I am available. Because for me, it's about leaving a legacy. And many people ask, Aka, why do you give advice and you don't charge people? Because my payment is not necessarily only monetarily. My payment is, I remember Aka told me to do this. I did this. Someone else is happy as a result of, someone is more productive because engagement is linked to productivity, which is linked to profitability. When you have an engaged workforce, the money flows because people are just more productive when they're happy. So, read my book. Yes.
fantastic. So, Aka, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Um,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much. And for everyone who's watching and listening, thank you for joining us here at MustardHub Voices from the Front Lines. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Also, make sure to check out MustardHub Voices Behind the Build, our sister series. And, if you didn't have enough to do already, visit mustardhub.com to learn all about us and sign up to get started for free. Thank you so much. Until next time.